And so what we're doing is creating a floral grid. And we do this almost exclusively, even with all the luxury stores that we're working with. And all that's doing is helping us create a space, a 2x2, that's going to hold the flowers in place. And we can do this really fast. We can get these vases prepped the day before an event and have everything ready to go so that when we're trying to get, most days we're trying to get 28 arrangements done quickly, that we can do this really fast and getting it going. And the 28 is just our contract work, and then we have other arrangements and events that come up as well. So I have 3 to 4 staff over here Monday through Friday, working kind of 8 to 3. And some start earlier at like 7 if they're doing the flower mart run for me. I always start with my greens first. This is just a really great lemon leaf florals that I use as my first base. And I always like to do 3 different greens to create our structure, with the idea that if everything is a different size leaf, a different shade of green, it's going to help give us depth and definition. And this will kind of create our height and structure before we start adding any flowers. Here we go. So I'm just going to kind of recreate this one, probably end up a little different, that I made this morning. All of these flowers primarily came from a wonderful long-term family farm, Nebby Brothers, up in Petaluma. The dahlias are mixed. Some are from Fagoni Farms in Half Moon Bay that just grow like some of the best dahlias in the world. It's extraordinary. And again, these are all like long-term farms. We've lost, post-COVID, we lost a lot of our local farms. Quite a few here in California became marijuana farms. They had to go on to existing greenhouses. So since they couldn't build greenhouses, they were then paying a fortune to lease land. And then the farmers were making more leasing the land than having to grow anything.
Well, that's kind of depressing. I will say that the other thing I'm observing is that because there are fewer large-scale commercial farms in California that are supplying the across of North America, what's filling the void are these small micro farms.
Totally.
In every single state, and it's mostly woman-owned, and mostly young entrepreneurs who get hooked on growing flowers, and so flowers are getting to people. They're just
differently,
hyper local now.
Totally, and it's I really go out of my way. We create the floral directives for North America for Van Cleef and Arpels stores, and since I have the luxury of creating that, I'm now really focused on seasonality and choosing flowers and farms. Not everyone can get what I can get here, but if I can come up with a design that's seasonal, then the florists everywhere are going to be able to hopefully have better luck sourcing locally, so that they're not having to import as much. It's a staggering amount of flowers that come in from Ecuador.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
We talked about a certain bride we know who wants hydrangeas on the East Coast in the middle of the winter. Like, so how do you talk to a bride?
A future daughter-in-law.
Please repeat the question.
Yeah, so like, how do you talk to a client about unrealistic ideas of what she can have for a wedding or a funeral, whatever, that you just want to kind of sway them into another way of being seasonal?
And because then what you're having to bring in is out of season hydrangeas, And very often, depending on if they come in, they very often have to be dyed, depending if we can even access blue. And when flowers are painted and they have, it looks like spray cans, you know, for events, those cannot go into compost, right, because of the paint. And if you're bringing in flowers, they're being shipped in individual tubes for hydrangeas of water because they can't be out of water that long. And then they're coming from Holland in greenhouses or coming from Ecuador. And it's really challenging. But also the same bride who says, I want hydrangeas in June and it's 110 in Napa. And you're like, they're not going to hold, you know?
Yeah.
And
How
so
do you pass on a carbon footprint on that? Is it passed on to you through the growers? Because that's a huge, unless they buy the short carbon or
right.
Credits.
It's yeah, I'm seeing fuel surcharge fees on some of my transactions, and sometimes we have to get something, you know. Gucci wanted a certain variety, amaryllis, at Christmas, and it like literally they sent me Pantone color charts of like in the exact varieties from Milan. So I had to import those from Holland to get the exact varieties for them. So there are instances where there's just no local substitute where I have to follow a corporate mandate. But yeah, I will.
That's rare though.
Yeah, exactly. So now this, I've added oak and acacia, and this has created our structure really quickly for our arrangement and our reach. Now I'll start with our largest, kind of the larger head stems and flowers first. Looking at roses, again, all the roses, I'm really fortunate that we have so much growing locally year round.
Oh, and another thing for brides that's
Please.
sustainable, we did a couple years ago, and it wasn't even, the flowers weren't even out of season, but she wanted all greens.
Oh, that was a dream. Okay, so I only do a couple of weddings a year, and this couple saw what we created at a wedding, called us on the Monday after the event and said, we love what you did. Can you do something for us? But it's going to be a little different. We don't want any flowers. We just want all greenery. Oh my God, please tell me more. This sounds so fantastic. And they were getting married at in a redwood grove down on the peninsula, a private club, the family farm. And it felt so perfect to not have any florals in this redwood grove. And so we did all living plants. And highly stylized it. Luckily, the couple are both designers and met in grad school for industrial design. And so we did turkey feathers and seed pods down the tables. And then they gifted all the plants at the end of the wedding. But even her bouquet was all greens. We did a lot of ivy and ferns. And it was all greenery, which was just so special and extraordinary.
Is it on your Instagram?
Yes. And they built their own hoopah, like a very modern style hoopah. And I kind of did a kokedama style of the plants of stag head ferns, wrapped in moss and nestled them in to their hoopah, which was really great. So the other thing I love to do is use tall flowers and cut them short. So we rarely ever use otherwise tall flowers as a tall flower. I feel like we cut them down so often. This is a snapdragon. So kind of, again, I'm really wanting the movement and kind of stylizing of like different textures poking through the kind of controlled chaos of the wild greens. The weddings, I feel like very much want everything to always feel different. I don't ever want to feel like it's a cookie cutter because then I'm going to want to stop saying yes to weddings. This year I only accepted 2. And that really makes it still enjoyable. And then coming off to the side, I really kind of want to play with this kind of intention of how wild it is, more extended over here. And again, when you're working with really tall flowers, if you do 2 tall things and they're not next to each other, they start looking like bunny ears. And you will notice this in every hotel that you walk into. And it makes me crazy. I had to stop myself at the Ritz-Carlton yesterday to not change some other florist work when I was dropping off bridal flowers.
Itchy fingers.
You're gonna get a phone call.
I do not. I always say no to hotels because they want you to install in the middle of the night when guests cannot see the work happening. But I'm always like, oh, it's so tempting because people are, I think, half asleep when they're installing things.
Susan, every hotel ballroom I go in or lobby I go into, the first thing I do is put my hand in an arrangement to see, of course,
If there's
how much
floral,
they have.
yes. Yes. And Victoria sends me like every time she's at a fundraiser, she's like, I embarrassed my husband by sticking my hand in and see if there's floral foam.
Yeah.
I'm like, it really is ridiculous. There's no reason. I feel like if, Shane Connolly could do Charles and Camilla's wedding completely free of floral foam, there is no reason for folks to be using floral foam. Again, these garden roses just came in. Everything's super closed right now. When we're going out to an event, we'll bring flowers in on Wednesday, not refrigerate the roses so that they open for Saturday. Anything going out to a client's home for a week, we want it as closed as possible so that we can, but this will start to just help open the roses because we want things to last as long as possible for the clients. And then mixing a couple different rose varieties, 2 different snapdragon varieties.
Susan, do you have kind of like a magic number range for I never use fewer than or never more than?
There's
flowers?
usually 7 to 11 different varieties going into every arrangement.
Including the greens?
No,
Okay.
just the florals. Yeah, always 3 for the greens, and then it's
But
usually
always 3 for the greens.
Mhm. And being a confirmed maximalist, I am like, let's put 1 more in. And then we have like 3 variety dahlias here. And we just did a really fun floral class for Heather's mom. Was it your mom's 80th?
My mom's 80th.
Birthday, which was really fun. And her mom was a florist back in the day. And we've done a couple floral classes with her, and it is so much fun. But we were able to bring all the buckets of flowers over to Heather's house and do a really fun party.
That color is amazing.
Aren't these like just crazy beautiful? The way the petals go all the way back.
Are those from Nephew?
Yeah. I get so many flower dahlias from Louis Fagoni in Half Moon Bay. He's at the Flower Mart 3 days a week. And last week, or 2 weeks ago, for a big event, he sent the dahlias in the buckets, and they're all stamped Fagoni. Oh my God, this is so great. So I always bleach them and wash them and bring them back. And he was like, "You're hired. Come to the farm." So slowly, kind of creating this movement and space. again, we're really fortunate that we're able to even get these local varieties of these garden sprays, and that we're not as reliant on the Ecuadorian sprays coming in. And again, look at the, like, so just different varieties so that the colors are kind of merging together.
Yeah.
And you said 7 to 9 varieties in terms of the
Yeah.
floral, and then 3 of the creole.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that one yesterday. I thought it was pretty.
One of the hardest things for me is the more minimalist designs, Shane, who has been studying Ikebana for a really long time. I think we should exchange trade, like do a trade one day. Because when I was in London, they said, what do you really want to learn? And I said, modern hotel. I just want to understand corporate because it is not the way my brain works, to do minimal and to hold negative space. And that's something I really struggle with. So I went out of my way when I was first learning floristry to once a week do a minimal design, just so it started to become second nature. And I could think of it more in understanding the structure, right? And now adding a peach to lighten things up. I rarely use white. I use peach as my transition color, and I never use just two colors. Unless I'm doing all white, I'll do white and green, but even then I'll have a lot of different shades of green. I really want things to transition to each other. I love how on this cherry brandy rose, it has the dark outer petal with the really gorgeous golden center, and then kind of bringing those pinks, those reds, those peaches together, and then just keep filling in.
It's gorgeous. Yummy.
Susan, do most of your arrangements fall under a certain height for a reason?
I love low.
Yeah.
And I just think there's so few places that you really get to enjoy a tall arrangement unless it's specified for an event. We do some homes with tall arrangements because we know it's going in an entry when we're going in every week. So then we'll have that base already, picked out. And on our residential arrangements where we go in every week to that family home, we have multiples of the vase.
Yeah.
So then we know exactly where it needs to hit under a mirror, under an art piece of artwork. I just feel like this size, it can be on a dining table, it can be on a coffee table. I feel like we're gonna get more from it of usability when you don't know where it's going. If somebody just calls and says, we want a $200 arrangement for a happy birthday or, anniversary, you don't always know where it's going to end up, but a low, wide arrangement can usually fit anywhere. Okay, and then we'll start adding all the kind of good stuff now. This is amaranth, which we just kind of love, this kind of really beautiful drippy. When I'm using it, we'll take some of the larger green leaves off and group it together. And then we might go back through and just do some kind of single pieces to create some movement throughout the arrangement. But again, how I'm seeing the flowers is very much how I see textiles of wanting to add some warmth or color, so you add in a throw pillow. And so to just keep mixing in different varieties. And again, we have a red spray rose, we have the peach garden rose, we have the cherry brandy. rose, and then we have the hot pink dahlia, the peach dahlia, and then kind of a mauve-y. But I love how there's so much color, but it really kind of works together. Again, looking at everything is a different height, a different shade, size. This is Scabiosa, which I love mixing in. Scabiosa pods are really wonderful also, out of season. We love using those. Again, it's kind of playing with this deep aubergine color and mixed with the violet.
The stem on that is so long. It's
Right? Aren't they fantastic?
oh,
And
like that. It's beautiful.
and then this is a butterfly ranunculus, and these are so fantastic. As they open, they go flat and literally kind of dance like a butterfly. We get a bit giddy when these start coming in season.
What's their season?
And now we're still getting some locals, but mainly the spring. I think it's kind of the end right now. But again, how everything's a little different. The smallest things we put in last. And then I even have some crocosmia here. Pods. Hold on, let's see, these are all tied together. This one is crocosmia, the pods. You see them growing on the side of the road.
Yeah.
They kind of have like an orange feather when the bloom. But I love the pod going towards Thanksgiving. This week I was speaking to the Diablo Valley Women's Garden Club, and we were talking about holiday, and I worked on a new holiday design that I was so excited about. I had been thinking about it for a long time and hadn't really forced myself to take the time to actually recreate what I had been dreaming. And it was all vegetables. What I showed for you guys with the modern cornucopia. And we started with kale and flowering artichoke. And then we did persimmons, pomegranates, tomatillos, apples, cabbage. It was just like, it was really heavy. But I'm really excited to see if we can recreate it for Thanksgiving for clients' homes. Okay. And then I always love to end with, and we're going to pop in a couple of these seed pods, which I have, which is actually Nigella, which I love these like adorable seed pods.
Yeah.
And then I love coming back through with a fruit. I'd love to have like an unexpected element, whether it's herbs. A lot of times at Thanksgiving, we'll use a lot of sage and oregano and rosemary. I want things that are going to be part of the meal at the table, right? So
It's just beautiful.
color on color on color in like a really,
It's so remarkable.
Oh, it is.
It's all in this sort of analogous warm palette. So your blending of colors is remarkable. And I really was shocked that you put a red spray rose in, but it
Right.
works.
it totally works.
I would never
right?
have done that with all these more orangey colors, but it's so beautiful.
And then you can see and knowing I was going to be using pomegranates is why I really wanted to kind of play in the red. But I felt like there's that hint on the Cosmia, there's the hint on the garden rose or the bicolored rose that we have in here. I love how these colors play together. And I think too, it's like my obsession with fashion of like color on color on color and like when you can use that much color and it becomes almost a neutral.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.